Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. On this occasion, we're once again going to discuss several leaks that I've managed to find, and that I think are quite interesting to talk about. As usual, this information comes from sources that are considered fairly credible, but before we get into the discussion, running out of stellar jade in honkaistarrail? Don't worry, there's a more budget-friendly solution. Now you can top up in-game safely, quickly, and at a lower price through U7 Buy. And it's not just honkaistarrail, other games are available too, all in one place. Still not sure? No problem. You can check U7 Buy's reviews directly on Trustpilot, so it's transparent and trustworthy. For comparison, 80 oniric shards cost around $100 in the official store, but on U7 Buy, it's much cheaper. The process is also instant. Just select your server, enter your UID, and the balance is delivered straight to your account, no hassle. Don't forget to use code BOOM for a 5% discount. Click the link in my description or pinned comment to visit U7 Buy. Alright, now let's move on to the main topic. In the previous video, we discussed in detail the full kits of the 3 new characters introduced in version 4.2, namely Silverwolf 999, Evanescia, and EMC. This time, we will be discussing characters who received buffs in the 3rd Novaflare. In this video, we'll specifically talk about the buffs received by Seele and Huohuo. Without further ado, let's jump straight into the discussion. As we know, Seele is one of the classic DPS characters who once dominated during the early release of honkaistarrail. However, over time, with the introduction of many new characters featuring more complex mechanics and higher scaling, Seele's performance has started to feel left behind. In this Novaflare update, Seele has received quite a lot of changes, including adjustments to her skill, trace, and eidolons. Let's start with the first change, which is her skill. Previously, Seele's skill only increased speed by 25% for 2 turns and dealt quantum damage equal to 220% of her attack to a single target. Now, the speed buff duration has been increased to 3 turns, and the damage has been raised to 360%. In addition, the skill gains a new effect after an ally attacks. If the enemy's current HP is 50% or lower, Seele will automatically use her skill on that target once. This extra skill does not consume skill points or regenerate energy. This effect can only trigger once per turn and resets at the start of Seele's turn. If there are no valid targets, she will attack the enemy with the lowest HP instead. This is a very nice addition, although it requires the enemy's HP to drop to 50% first. Next is her ultimate. The multiplier has increased drastically, from 425% attack to 720% attack, which is nearly double. However, no additional effects were added to her ultimate. Because the damage is still single hit, the problem with Seele's crit issue seems to still exist. Moving on to her talent, which is one of her strongest features due to granting an extra turn. Previously, the 80% damage increase during the amplification state only lasted for 1 turn. Now, the duration has been extended to 3 turns, which is 3 times longer than before. Next is her technique. Previously, after using her technique, Seele would enter stealth for 20 seconds, making her undetectable by enemies, and upon entering battle, she would immediately gain the amplification state. Now, the technique remains the same but gains an additional effect. Upon entering battle, Seele immediately enters the amplification state and deals quantum damage equal to her skill multiplier to a random enemy once, and this damage is guaranteed to be a crit hit. So, her technique no longer suffers from crit inconsistency. Now let's move on to her traces. Out of the 3, only the 3rd trace remains unchanged. The first trace has been completely reworked. Previously, it reduced the chance of being targeted when her HP was at 50% or lower, which is not very useful now. The new effect is, after defeating an enemy, Seele's damage increases by 50%, which can stack up to 3 times and lasts for 3 turns. Combined with her talent, this means that after defeating an enemy, Seele can gain 80% damage increase plus an additional 50%, stackable up to 3 times, for 3 turns. This significantly boosts her performance in multi-target scenarios. The second trace remains the same but gets a multiplier improvement. Its quantum respawn increases from 20% to 25%. Next, let's talk about her eidolons. Out of her 6 eidolons, only 2 have been changed. These are relatively achievable even for F2P players, since you might get Seele copies when losing a 50-50. First change is her eidolon 1. The original effect remains the same. When dealing damage to enemies with 80% HP or lower, her crit rate increases by 15%. Now, it also gains a new effect, ignoring 20% of the target's def. This makes eidolon 1 significantly stronger than before. The second change is her eidolon 6. The core effect remains the same. After using her ultimate, she applies the butterfly flurry status to enemies. However, the duration has been increased from 1 turn to 3 turns. Additionally, enemies under this status will now take an extra instance of damage equal to 30% of Seele's ultimate damage as true damage, instead of the previous 15% quantum damage. So, those are all the changes to Seele in Novaflare Beta 4.2 v1. With these adjustments, Seele becomes a much stronger DPS overall compared to before. She gains significantly higher multipliers, longer buff durations for better consistency, automatic follow-up skill usage without SP cost, improved performance in both single-target and multi-target situations, and stronger scaling, especially with eidolons. However, I'm still unsure whether Seele will be able to compete with modern DPS units, especially considering we now have premium teams like the Archer lineup, which performs exceptionally well even at low investment. Will Seele's buffs be successful like Kafka, Sparkle, and Black Swan? Or will she remain underwhelming like Dinglu and Blade? Now, let's move on to the next character, Huohuo. In this Novaflare update, Huohuo has received quite a lot of changes, ranging from her skill, traces, to her eidolons. Let's start with the first change, which is her skill. For her skill, it has been buffed. The healing for a single target has increased from 21% plus 560 to 24% plus 650. In addition, the healing for adjacent targets has also increased from 16.8% plus 448 to 19.2% plus 512. So overall, Huohuo's healing is now stronger than before. Next is her talent. The duration has been increased from 2 turns to 3 turns. In addition, each automatic healing trigger will now restore HP to 2 allies at once, the active character, taking action or using an ultimate, and the ally with the lowest HP. Next, we move on to Huohuo's trace changes. Out of the 3 traces, only the third one remains unchanged. The first trace has been completely reworked. Previously, it granted Huohuo divine provision for 1 turn at the start of battle. Now, the effect has been changed to, when the battle starts, Huohuo gains 30 energy and divine provision for 2 turns. By the way, if you see a duration of 30 turns, that is just a typo. The second trace still retains its original effect, which increases the chance to resist crowd control debuffs by 35%. However, an additional effect has been added. When using her ultimate, if an ally has a max energy of 160 or higher, their attack is further increased by 24%. This makes Huohuo synergize even better with high-energy characters. Finally, we move on to her eidolon 1. Eidolon 1 still retains its original effect, which extends the talent duration by 1 turn. In addition, a new effect has been added. When Huohuo has divine provision, her outgoing healing increases by 20%, and all allies' speed increases by 20% from previously 12%. Again, if you see a 100% speed increase, that is just a typo. After the Novaflare buffs, Huohuo is now one of the top-tier sustain characters, with stronger healing, more consistent utility, and additional attack and speed buffs that make her far more flexible and valuable across various team compositions. However, Huohuo's main issue isn't her talent duration, it's the lack of an emergency heal like Luocha or Lingsha. Because of this, Huohuo teams are still quite vulnerable to being one-shot by boss attacks. That said, the increased talent duration does help make her more SP positive. Even so, she remains one of the best sustain options for high-energy teams. Alright. That concludes our discussion for today. What are your thoughts on these latest leaks? Are the changes to Seele and Huohuo in this Novaflare update satisfying or disappointing? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Don't forget to share this information with your fellow Honkai starrail players who might also be interested in these updates. Your support through likes and subscriptions means a lot for the growth of this channel and ensures you won't miss future updates. See you in the next discussion, and thank you for watching.